Back here on GN Sports, brought to you by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. When the White Sox signed Luis Robert Jr. back in 2017 for $26 million, the young outfielder was then MLB's top-ranked international prospect. The man who helped first find Roberts and help the Sox ink him, Marco Paddy, who was the Sox special assistant to the GM in charge of international operations. Paddy has been with the Sox since 2011 and was last year named International Scout of the Year. He was in town today to receive the Roland Heeman Award from the Society of American Baseball Research, where we caught up with him to talk about Robert's rise to all-star level and when he remembers first watching him play.
A 15-year-old kid. First time I saw him, I was in Chihuahua, Mexico. He was in a world tournament representing the team of Cuba, and immediately when he walked in the ballpark, a kid of his stature, he was about 6'2" at the time, maybe about 170 pounds, but he looked the part. And once I saw him play for several nights, and I knew there was something there for the future.
How often is it when you see a player at that age that you just know that's like, wow, this is going to be someone I need to track and sign right away?
I think good players usually separate themselves from the pack. And he did that in that tournament. So the gut feel that I had at that time has been confirmed now, obviously. But you kind of knew because of his athletic ability, the power that he had at that age, and how well he played in the outfield, made it easier for me to sit there and say, okay, this guy has a lot of potential.
You mentioned gut feeling. So many analytics and statistics are at your disposal in scouts now. How much is it old school scouting, what your eyes, what your gut is telling you? How much is that still a huge part of scouting?
Well, for me personally, I become a fan of the game. I sit in the stands and look at the kids just like a fan would do it. And then once I see that player separates himself from everybody else, then you become a scout and start putting together his tools. The fan side of it gives me an opportunity to have multiple looks. And in a way, it's a way of analytics. You sit there, you see him. The more time you spend with the player gives you a better feel for what his ability can be.
To see Luis's evolution and now being honored as a first-time All-Star, how does that make you feel as someone who's known Luis as long as you have?
Very proud because I remember having the first conversation with Kenny and Rick after I saw the kid. Obviously, Cuban players, you only can dream on what can happen because at that time they're playing in Cuba. You don't know what the future holds. But I remember seeing him get on the phone with Rick and Kenny and talking about in the future, if this guy ever leaves the country, we should be on this kid because he has a lot of potential and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him.
So many Cuban players, going back to Minnie Minoso and Abreu more recently and Luis, they felt comfort in being a part of the White Sox organization. What do you think it is about what the White Sox have done to make that a possibility to keep that Cuban pipeline?
I think that the history obviously helps, and I think that with the way Jose Abreu started his career here, and we had guys like Alexei Ramirez that played here, I think that the young Cuban players see Chicago as a good destination to be. But I think overall what we do as an organization is just allow them to be themselves. And I think it plays a big role in their development, and there's no pressure to be somebody else. They come in and they can maintain and be who they are.
Where do you think you've seen the biggest growth in Luis's development over the last few years?
I think the ability to be consistent offensively. The power's always been there. The defensively ability has always been there. The speed has always been there. I think it takes some type of adjustment when you get to the big leagues to get used to the day in and day out tough pitching that there is in the Major League Baseball. So I think the biggest adjustment has been the ability to be more of a consistent hitter.
How do you think he'll fare in the home run derby?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. He's got a lot of competition. He's got a good friend in Rosarena and Garcia. They grew up kind of together. Garcia's a few years older. But I think if he gets in a groove, I think he's got a chance to do well.
And for you, personally, you've done this for a number of years, but to get the honors you have in the last year, you were the International Scout of the Year. You just here at the SABR conference, you were awarded with the Roland Heeman Award. What does it kind of mean for you to kind of sum up the work you've done over the last 30 years in this world?
I think it summarizes the ability to have received opportunities. I'm very proud of the opportunities that I received. I'm very grateful for those people who give me the opportunity, who believe in the work that I do. There's no doubt that there's a combination of the help that people that works with me day in and day out, their support, their contributions to what we do is enormous. But I think the most important thing is that you have the trust of an organization, the leadership that believes in your work and understand what you do. And for me, it's an honor for not only for Marco Patti, but everybody who's been involved.
Yeah, good stuff
obviously one of the best in the business at his job. And you were telling me he's like a comet. He's in town, and he's heading right back out.
He is almost always on the road. He wouldn't reveal exactly how many days, but it's a lot. Makes his home in Florida when he is home, but he's always in Latin American countries scouting. He's got to be on the ground. And real quickly, I will say, before he came to the Sox in 2011, the international scouting was in disarray. One of their former head international scouts went to prison for taking money off the top of these contracts to international players. So he has completely revamped things, signing guys like Luis, Jose Abreu, even Fernando Tatis Jr. was one of his signings too before they traded him. So great stuff there. And of course, kudos to Robert for making an all-star appearance, and looking forward to talking to him in Seattle.